right, so our next partner is Trend Micro.
Yep.
And what do these guys do?
They do security and analysis for your Kubernetes clusters.
Fantastic, and security is something very close to our heart, as we said earlier. So for the folks who are coming up on the live stream, this is the AWS or Amazon Ecosystem Day. We're talking about Amazon EKS service and the surrounding partners around it. We are in a beautiful AWS loft in San Francisco, and thank you for joining us on the stream.
Thank you.
Take it away.
I guess I should warn everyone at home that I do speak with a Canadian accent and I mumble, so now might be a good time to turn on English subtitles. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Thorn. I'm the Director of Field Engineering for Trend Micro. I live up in Seattle, Washington, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. It's an exciting time for not only the Kubernetes community, but Amazon and EKS. I was planning on talking to you all today about continuous security and compliance through automation. I had a wonderful high-level agenda planned. It was going to be 90 minutes in length. And I stress high level because I've been in management for the last 10 years and I don't have much hands-on experience as of late. I was going to talk about abstract principles from a theoretical perspective on container image assurance, runtime protection, dynamic admission control. I was even going to peel back the onion on GDPR, PCI, and a variety of other compliance mandates. From a high level, I wanted everyone to understand the work that Trend Micro and AWS are doing together to make it easy to manage and secure your Kubernetes clusters on EKS. But when I walked in the door, they told me, Jeff, you don't have 90 minutes. You got 10 minutes and it has to be a technical demo. Well, as I mentioned, I've been in management for the last 10 years and I can't even remember the last time I did a technical demo. So obviously I had to do a bit of a change of plans. Well, what am I going to do? Then I remember I had this idea for a startup 20 years ago and I built an MVP in Pascal. I haven't coded since then, so I have no other option but to try to launch this application on EKS Live today. What are you guys thinking? Are you thinking, who sits on a startup idea for 20 years? But in my defense, I told you Pascal was my tool of choice. There wasn't many decent Pascal microservices frameworks back then, was there? And there sure as heck wasn't any managed control planes. But that situation changed all last week for the better. On June 5th, Amazon made an exciting announcement around EKS and their managed control plane. The first thing I did was I asked Alexa, what is Kubernetes? I had never heard of it. I've been in management for 10 years. She says, Jeff, if you've never heard of Kubernetes, I'm going to put in your cart immediately the book Kubernetes Up and Running. And thankfully she did. But the one thing she didn't do was use same-day shipping. But don't worry, the book did arrive late last night, and I was able to do some reading, and how easy EKS is, I was able to get a cluster up this morning in 10 minutes. So as far as that demo goes, I'm back in the game, but I don't have many other options than to launch my application live. So what do you guys think? Should we try this? There's a high probability for failure. I think there'd be more excitement. Woo! Let's give this a shot. This is going to be interesting. So going to my terminal here. I'm not the best with the commands yet, so I'm already teed up. I guess should make this bigger for the live stream? Let's see how my cluster's doing. Hopefully it's still up, and we're still active. And I think there was a kube command. kubectl, is it? No, can anyone help me with the Kubernetes command line? Oh, increase the font. kubectl? Perfect, thank you. I thought I was going to have to get my book out of my backpack. Get pods? No, I think it's nodes, right? Let's see how the nodes are looking. Okay, so that looks good. My worker nodes are up and running. I also heard about this cool Kubernetes plugin. Let me type this out. I apologize if there's a lot of clicking on the feed here, but what this does, it allows me to quickly see from the Kubernetes command line the security posture of my Kubernetes cluster. It's going to produce very similar output to kubectl, but it's going to give me a little bit more in-depth information around the operating system, the container runtime, and any security policy currently assigned. Now, I apologize. I'm going to quickly reduce the font here just so it makes it a little bit more. I don't know if people are going to be able to see this, but the output's a little bit. I'll just do this momentarily. So we can see here, and I know it might be difficult to see, it's very similar to kubectl, but I can see the operating system, the container runtime. There's some sort of security agent there, and these look like a lot of widgets and knobs. I don't really know what there is. I got to get this app live. I only got 8 minutes, but it's something around deep packet inspection, network segmentation, and all that stuff. Sorry about that. I'll go back to the font. And what I also did is I also heard about something called Helm. So let's see if I was able to get Helm going this morning. Helm is amazing. I don't even know what I'm doing, and in one line I was able to get up a container image assurance scanner on EKS, integrated into ECR with one line of code, and it looks like it's still up and running. So things are good. As I mentioned, there's a high probability for failure here, so my fingers are crossed. As we can see here, a lot of fancy graphs in the Kubernetes dashboard. I have my deployment, my pods, my replica sets, services, and I was able to get an external endpoint going, so let's go take a look at this. So we can see here, I don't know if anyone knows this, but Mr. Bezos isn't the only Jeff in Seattle with his own online bookstore. And if I look at this picture of Seattle, it looks pretty old. I'm not going to say who had the idea first, but this looks like a vintage pick. But I'm going to take a bit of a different approach than Mr. Bezos, and I'm going to specialize in vintage programming books. As I mentioned before, I have an affection for Pascal, so it's on my main page. I have a huge inventory of over 23 titles as we speak right now. So let's take a look at my books. We can see here the book inventory. I have a nice description. I have my own reviews. You can even order the book. Oops, I didn't get that implemented in time, so you're going to have to order this book off Amazon.com right now. I was also working on a cool React component this morning where you click on this and it'll show you the rest of the inventory. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that cool React component going either. But I was able to get an admin login going. So let's test to see if I can get input validation. Do a test account. Okay, so there is input validation. I mentioned that a lot of us are facing GDPR, PCI compliance, but I did use Pascal prepared statements, so I'm going to do a SQL injection command here, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to stop this. I'll just quickly copy and paste my SQL injection command. And I'm not worried at all about this because I use my prepared statements. Oh, those didn't seem to work, and it looks like my top secret expansion plans have been exposed. That's unfortunate. But as you can see now that it's up there, and hopefully this isn't being recorded, I have an aggressive plan. I'm going to offer customers the ability to search for books in January of next year, so very, very aggressive. I'm going to open up my first retail location in Bellevue, Washington, in the mall right beside Amazon's retail location. I'm going head-to-head with these guys. I've already started taking bids for HQ2. Being Canadian, I'm thinking Winnipeg, but it's open if there's any cities out there that are interested. And I'm going to expand into cloud computing myself in 2022. So again, there's nothing I can do at this point. You guys see this. Hopefully this isn't being recorded. I have a contact page. That's under construction. I'll go back to the home page. So I think I'm ready to launch. Is there anything missing? Oh, it looks like I spelled my hometown wrong, Seattle. So I got to go into the code and fix this. I like PyCharm, but all the cool kids are using VS Code. So let's go into VS Code. I'll quickly save this. I think it is Git. I've been doing this in a while. Oh, I still can't spell. Okay, so that looks good. It's going to push to GitHub. Now, I've been out of the game for a while, but I think there's a CI/CD tool called Jenkins. I was able to pull an image off Docker Hub and get this going really quickly. So it looks like it did trigger my CI/CD pipeline. We'll go in and take a look. So we've checked out our code. I've packaged up a Docker image. Currently, the image is being pushed to ECR, and now it's being scanned by Smart Check. So let's go and see what's going on with that. Go into all namespaces, services. Go check out this. So this is the Deep Security Container Image Assurance Scanner running on EKS. We can see it's a fancy dashboard. We don't have time for that. If I look at the scan's currently running. Let's go take a look at a previous scan here. We got a lot of previous scans. Here's one here that looks interesting. Again, I don't have a lot of time, but it looks like the scanner can detect vulnerabilities and malware in container images, and it scans each layer, which isn't a big deal because I just copy and paste my base images off Docker Hub, so I have nothing to worry about. Oh, it looks like I have a message here from the Slack, the build pipeline. There was a failed scan. I better go back to Jenkins and see what's going on here. Okay, we'll see what's going on here. So it looks like a scan ID. That could be important. The scan failed, and it looks like there's a malicious file. JB was here. Jeff B, maybe? I don't want to insinuate who that was, but that's a dirty trick. Who looks in the static files? I'm never in the static file. The guy puts a malicious executable in my static files. Static folder, I better go remove that. Okay, let's do a git status here. Okay, so that's gone. Let's push that again quickly. Oh, didn't commit that. Okay, so that's going to push now. Let's go make sure that that's going. Okay, the build pipeline here. Okay, so the build pipeline, I just want to make sure that's going. Should we get risky and do DNS? Route 53, should I give it a shot? Let's give it a shot. We got some time here. I did say we wanted to launch this live, so I'll head into Route 53. Hopefully it doesn't ask me for my multi-factor authentication right now. Route 53, hosted zones. Okay, you can see here I have no A record, so let's create an A record. Go Huskies, if anybody's out there. Needs to be an alias. Route 53 is great because I can go in here and pick load balancer. So there we go. Let's do a refresh, make sure that took. Okay, so the DNS record's great. I can't promise that will propagate, but hopefully we'll be able to hit the URL before the end of the session. We'll go back and look. So we got the second. Okay, we got another message from my pipeline. Okay, looks like this scan was successful. So JB, whoever that is, only inserted the one dirty trick on me. And we're currently deploying to EKS. We'll just give it a moment here. Okay, everything looks good. We'll go back over here, go home. Okay, so if we noticed here, I did resolve the spelling issue, so we were able to make a change. We were able to make sure that there was no malicious file in the container image. But I'm still a little bit concerned about that admin login. I'm positive I used prepared statements, so let's go give this a shot. Copy that SQL injection command again. Again, this is a Python Pascal app, so it's taking a bit of time here to get to my admin page. Better do a refresh. Let's go hit the endpoint again. Yep, just need to hit a fresh endpoint. So again, we saw before that the SQL injection was successful, but I was positive I did something about that. Oh, so it looks like it was blocked. Maybe it just took a little bit of time for those prepared statements to warm up. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I haven't coded in a while. So let's go see if anything else changed on my cluster. Again, so this is that plugin command that's going to check the security status on our cluster. I'll just have to reduce the font so that everybody can see what the output is. So you can see here it looks the same, but I noticed the policies changed. So what's happened here? Was that dynamic admission control and pod interception? I noticed a lot of these levers and knobs security-wise have gone on. So I didn't do anything. I don't know what I'm doing. But it looks like we now have deep packet inspection, network segmentation. A lot of policies been on. Let's go into deep security and see what actually happened. It's probably timed out on me. There we go. Okay, so that's a fancy looking dashboard. We don't have time to get into that. If I look at my computers tab, we can see here an integration into Amazon EC2. So you can see all your availability zones. I can see this is actually where my EKS cluster lives. So this is a great way to have visibility on your instance inventory in EC2 as well as deploy policy. Oh, looks like I got another Slack message. It looks like the pipeline detected that SQL injection block. So let's quickly go into deep security here on the events. So we can see intrusion prevention. So we can actually see here that deep security was able to actually detect that event and block that as well through dynamic admission control. Are we feeling risky? Should I try that DNS? I know we've gone through a lot here. Let's try that. Oh, not yet. Okay, we'll go back to the slide. Maybe we'll come back later. Maybe it'll take a second. So you're probably wondering what just happened. Did this guy really deploy a Pascal microservices on EKS on launch day? Well, yes, we did. But I'm going to take a step back and let's quickly walk through what we actually saw here. We saw how easy it is for someone like me to get up and going on EKS. And I was successfully able to deploy my app to my own surprise with little to no Kubernetes knowledge. But we did see I was in a hurry and I had absolutely no regard for security best practices or cluster security policy. But we did see as my app moved through each stage in the build to deploy pipeline, there's an opportunity for organizations to insert their security best practices along with industry best practices automatically and seamlessly in the build to deploy pipeline. First, we saw container image insurance. Through Smart Checks integration with EKS and ECR, we were automatically able to detect that malicious file by JB put in the container image. I still won't imply who JB is, but I'm going to be looking for JB. And we were able to clean that container image prior to hitting production. On the way to production, we were able to intercept pod deployment and assign a more appropriate security policy for the nature of that workload automatically and seamlessly. So as I don't know what I'm doing, IT operations and security teams were able to, on the fly, address the nature of my pod and put the appropriate security policy there. And then when the pod did hit production, we saw that initially it was susceptible to SQL injection, but after dynamic emission control took over, we were able to block any subsequent SQL injection attempts. So through Deep Security's runtime protection for container environments, EKS and Kubernetes, we were able to block that automatically, as well as a whole host of other network-based exploits. So again, as a high level, because I'm in management, I just wanted to show you guys how Trend Micro and AWS work together to provide easy to manage and secure EKS clusters in Kubernetes environments. So that was a lot. So let me check one more DNS. Let me try one more time here. It's working for you? Let me try a new tab, Chrome. Oh. Somebody's got it working, so it was successful. That's good. So in closing, if anybody's interested in anything they saw here, here's the links to Deep Security. We have our Git repo, access to our Python SDKs, our Golang SDKs, and I apologize, the Pascal SDK is still coming. I'm working on that. Here's my contact info. If anybody's around and wants to chat, I'm at DockerCon all week. And don't forget to check out Jeff's online books when the DNS comes up, if anybody has any Pascal textbook needs. And if you want more information on EKS, these are the best guys to show you, but here's the link to EKS and Trend Micro again. And I want to thank you everyone for their time, and hopefully the Canadian English wasn't too bad. Thank you.